Today, we need to conduct a critical audit of what might just be the single greatest threat to our future, and that is the systematic erosion of the human mind. Let's be very clear. This isn't some far-off science fiction story. This is a neurobiological reality, and it's happening right now inside our own heads. Let's start with a number, a pretty stark one, -20%. A recent study found this is the drop in the amount of cognitive effort, the actual thinking, we put into daily tasks compared to just 8 years ago. Just think about that for a second. In less than a single decade, we have offloaded a fifth of our daily thinking. This is not a small shift. This is a massive warning sign, a leading indicator of a profound decay in our most vital asset.
Okay, so let's get right into it. The core of the issue, to put it bluntly, is that our brains are atrophying. Our mental flexibility, the very thing that made our species so successful, is a biological system. And like any biological system, it's governed by rules. Right now, we are systematically breaking the most important rule of all, and we're doing it for the sake of convenience.
And that fundamental rule? It's something called neuroplasticity. It's this incredible, almost magical ability of the brain to rewire itself based on what you do. When you face new challenges, you forge new neural pathways. When you stick to routine and passivity, well, those pathways wither and die. It's the ultimate biological law, use it or lose it. And we, as a society, are actively choosing to lose it.
You know, the analogy to muscles is just perfect. You wouldn't expect to stay physically strong if you never got off the couch, right? So why on earth would we expect our minds to stay sharp when we outsource all the heavy mental lifting? Every single time we let an app tell us where to turn or let a piece of software organize our thoughts, we are making a choice for atrophy. And this isn't just a metaphor. Without that regular mental workout, the actual myelin insulation that speeds up our brain's signals, it literally gets thinner. Our thinking actually becomes slower and less efficient.
So how in the world did we get here? Well, this decline has been speeding up, and it's being driven by the very tools we built to make our lives better. We've crossed a really dangerous line, moving from technological assistance to technological substitution. Our tools don't just help us think anymore. In many cases, they think for us.
And the data on this is just undeniable. I mean, look at this. There's been a documented 10 to 15% drop in our ability to perform deductive reasoning, to connect the dots, in just the last 3 decades. That's barely a generation. We've made a bargain. We've traded our own cognitive stamina for the convenience of an algorithm. And this is the price we're paying.
This didn't happen overnight. It was a gradual offloading, really, across 4 major milestones. First, calculators took over our basic numeric logic, and we started to lose our intuitive feel for numbers. Then, personal computers automated away all these administrative tasks, which weakened our cognitive endurance for complex projects. Next up, smartphones and GPS completely wiped out our innate skills of spatial navigation. And now we have generative AI, which is beginning to replace interpretive judgment, the very core of human creativity and insight. Each step felt like progress, but each one also made us more fragile, more dependent.
And this erosion isn't just about our personal gadgets. Oh no, it's being institutionalized. It's being baked into the very systems designed to educate us. The intense focus on standardized testing in particular is reinforcing this mental narrowing. We're effectively training an entire generation for obedience, not innovation.
This slide just perfectly captures the chasm between what was promised and what was delivered. The goal? Accountability, they said, using objective data. The reality? Resource depletion and budget cuts. The goal was consistency. The reality? Destabilized communities where property values plummet because a school gets a bad label. And the goal was instructional focus, but the reality is a mechanical, rule-based way of teaching that actively crushes the conceptual thinking kids need to solve real problems.
Educational strategist W. James Popham just hit the nail on the head with this. He said that using these rigid tests to measure the quality of a creative human mind is like measuring temperature with a tablespoon. It's the wrong tool for the job. It's absurd. It can't capture creativity. It can't capture resilience. It can't capture insight. The only thing it can measure is compliance.
So this erosion of the individual mind, it has this terrifying ripple effect on all of us, on our collective intelligence. As we narrow our own minds, we are simultaneously corrupting our ability to think together. We're confusing the genuine wisdom of crowds with a really dangerous new phenomenon, what you might call algorithmic stupidity.
It is so critical to understand the difference here.
A wise crowd is amazing at solving problems that have a single correct answer, like that classic experiment of guessing an ox's weight. But when we're facing complex strategic problems, trying to find the middle ground or the average opinion is a recipe for absolute disaster. That's collective stupidity. For those tough problems, the goal isn't to average everyone's opinion into mediocrity. It's to identify the best expert within the group.
You see, for a crowd to be truly wise, 4 conditions are absolutely non-negotiable. You have to have a diversity of information, true independence of thought, decentralized knowledge, and a neutral way to bring all the opinions together. You take away even one of these, and that wisdom very quickly decays into madness.
And this is exactly what happens when those conditions fail, especially independence. We fall into these psychological traps like information cascades and groupthink, where people just abandon their own knowledge to follow the herd. This isn't some theoretical problem, by the way. This is the root cause of the Challenger disaster, where engineers who knew the risks were silenced by managerial groupthink.
The reason this is all so urgent right now is that our modern digital world is basically built to exploit these exact failures. It is a system designed not for wisdom, but for engagement, at any cost. Welcome to the algorithmic cage. This cage has 2 walls. The first is the filter bubble. That's the algorithm curating your reality, isolating you from different perspectives. The second wall is the echo chamber. That's the one you build yourself by only engaging with people who already think like you. Put them together, and they absolutely destroy the diversity and independence you need for intelligent thought. They create this post-fact reality where misinformation and hoaxes can spread faster than the truth.
Now, I know the picture I've painted is grim. It is. But the goal here is not despair. It's to recognize the threat for what it is so we can mount a real, strategic resistance. This isn't about some simple life hack. This is a cognitive maintenance plan for our survival as a thinking species.
We have to reframe this fight. Preserving our ability to think deeply, to think for ourselves, is not just a nice-to-have personal virtue anymore. In the face of these systems, it has become an urgent, strategic necessity. The steps we're about to talk about, they're acts of conscious rebellion.
So here's the plan. 4 acts of cognitive rebellion. First, prioritize reading. Real reading for pleasure. Unlike passively scrolling, it builds the mental muscles for reflection and imagination. Second, in our schools, we have to move past teaching to the test and embrace teaching that actually encourages academic risk-taking. Third, in our teams, in our organizations, we must actively encourage disagreement to fight off groupthink. And finally, on a personal level, we have to constantly engage in intellectually demanding tasks. Challenge your brain. That's how you keep those neural pathways firing fast and efficiently. Let's be perfectly clear about what's at stake. The convenience that our technology offers us comes at a terrible, terrible cost. We are being absolved, we're being excused from the very effort of thinking, the struggle, the focus, the deep work, the very things that define us as human. Which leaves us with a final start question. We are at a crossroads. The path of least resistance is easy, and it leads to cognitive atrophy. It leads to obsolescence. The other path requires deliberate, conscious effort. So, will we surrender our greatest evolutionary advantage, our versatile, creative, and resilient mind, to the very machines we built to serve us? The choice, right now, is still ours to make. But for how much longer?